All right, we're gonna be out here doing a little ride today. We got the Mammoth E-cells over here, the 5-star?
5-star 60 volt.
5-star 60 volts. So we're gonna, me and Scotty over here,
Hey guys!
we're gonna rip around a little bit. Scotty did a whole bunch of cool things on this bike. You see he made his own chainstay protector down with them tubes. Upgraded the tires to something that's not so knobby. Pumped some flat out into his tubes as well. Did some nice modifications with a rear light and a turn signal on the back. Nice phone mount. Got mounts like crazy all over here. But I think the best thing is all the tidiness of the wiring. Scotty's a bike mechanic and motor guru, so it's like everything is. Some of the wires are rerouted, very much cleaned up. But I also want to show you this just Mondo battery connection. It's just everything is just so beefy on this bike. And you can't really see it from this angle, but the paint is fantastic. It's got a nice RST front shock on the front. Pretty slick looking bike, but it's just a total beast. As Scotty just brought up, those are 26-inch tires, but with big 4-inch fat tires. This is a 27.5 rim. This is not a child's bike in the front. That's actually a man's bike, if you want to call me a man. But it's pretty striking. Because the seat's actually higher
than mine, okay? But you see where bars are and where I stand. I can stand flat. If I put my feet on the pedals, look at where my hands sit, not down here.
Right.
It's really high. You sit up high.
Mm-hmm.
Just due to the nature of the way this bike is designed, these fat tire bikes, you naturally sit higher, and for someone like me with bad balance, this works better because I have more of an upright position.
Suspension mountain bikes, you got that also adds some weight, but you got that lockout on there, so you have a lot of really good stuff on just a really massive bike.
And to full disclaimer, as an avid cyclist who's also toured the entire country, since my brain injury, haven't hardly ridden. So I'm over 240. I'm fat. And I still, as you guys can see, I still look like a kid on this monstrosity of a bike.
Yeah.
The monster.
So I'm going to have Scotty here run through the settings and show around the handlebars. But I wanted to point out, I forgot to mention, one of the things that took a while for Scotty to get this bike is those sweet looking gold rims. So that's a little add-on, right?
Yes, that was an upgrade.
I'm just kind of curious. Oh, I mean, that controller doesn't feel even warm.
What's nice is since it's not only a potted controller, but the way that it's mounted, so it's not in like a plastic box or anything that will, it doesn't matter if it's, let me rephrase this. Yes, it does matter if it's potted. Potted helps dissipate heat better. With that being said, taking that out of the equation, a lot of companies will put them in a plastic box for aesthetics. However, once you put it in a plastic box, the fins on the controller, which is supposed to help dissipate heat, is now sitting in a dead air space. No moving air, you're not really moving much heat.
Yeah.
Same thing even if it's potted, if this is plastic, because some of them are in plastic housings, plastic does not dissipate heat like the metal does.
Yeah.
Heat moves out away from anything that's cooler than it is.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect setup on that end. And I'm impressed with, especially someone who has done a lot of motor work on trikes and stuff, dealing with a lot of mid drives and hub motors. Even for the work that I've done with different companies, this has always seemed to be cooler than even the other like KT controllers and stuff that I've installed myself. This being potted, definitely great.
What's the max amp output for it? Do you know?
The max amp output, I think this is 40 amps.
Okay.
On this is max. Realistically, I know there's debate about 40, 60, and 8, but if you're trying to still be a bike and get some exercise, and like for myself, because I can get too tired too easily and need a throttle to get home.
Yeah.
You know, just having one of those days. To me, this is perfect. If you're going 60, 80, 100 amps, you're riding a moped at that point in time.
Yep.
You're not riding a bike. You're riding a moped. You know, if you're doing over 45. Sorry, guys. This is just my opinion as a bike builder, mechanic, and motor guy. If your bikes are not designed with all their components to go that fast constantly, yes, professionals get up that kind of speed when they're racing, but even their bikes are specially designed and tuned, and most of those guys that ride, yes, even Tour de France, you know, they ride those bikes a handful of times at most, and then they go up on a wall or they're given to somebody. They don't ride those day in and day out like we do.
Yeah.
For a reason, because it will fall apart and you risk your life. If you want to go over 45 miles an hour constantly or consistently, you should be on a moped.
Right.
Or a motorcycle, honestly.
Right. You shouldn't be relying on bike bearings and bike
parts
yeah.
and bike rotors.
Yeah.
There's a reason why a motorcycle has not only, you know, like a 512 millimeter brake rotor on it, and even the bigger bikes are dual rotors.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of weight and there's speed involved. You know, the mass times force times speed is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
The bike rotors are not going to stop you.
Yeah. And these are 203s, right?
These are 203s, yes. And that's the thing is, you know, even on something like this, you're going enough speed, and I've done it personally when I toured the country. You go downhill and you got a long enough run, even on disc brakes, you're going to heat it up and it's going to warp the rotor. It's not
Yeah.
going to grab well.
Yep.
Now try doing that consistently at 45 miles an hour on a bike with
Yeah.
bike parts, and then you want to stop because a car pulls out in front of you.
Yeah.
That's you got to know your limitations.
Right.
But knowing your limitations also means you need to know your machine's limitations.
Yep. So here's you can see on the motor here that has the 1500 watt. That's nominal then, right? It must be able to peak,
Yes,
peak higher than that.
Peak is 2400.
And then you can see here it's a 60 volt, 19.6. So, you know, that's just over a kilowatt of capacity. So that's kilowatt hour rather. Do you mind firing it up and we'll just kind of show the handlebars? And I'm
Fire. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this on.
That's nice. I like what they did with the e-cells on the screen. And I do like the way the color and everything is set up.
Yeah, they're very pretty
What-
easy to see. So this like most of these bikes, this is a KT model type of display. It gives ambient temperature, and I turn the setting on to give the motor temperature. And for me personally, for safety, as you can see, this is on. There's a little brake indicator which cuts everything off. However, you can see here on my half twist throttle, I can turn it and it's not doing anything.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
it
how
says
it's set.
throttle
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So you can tell that it's sending signal, but the bike isn't going anywhere.
Right.
And that's because I set this, there's plenty of settings you can change. Most of them you should never touch. Let it come from manufacturer for safety, okay? However, I set this so that it always comes on in the zero assist setting, and I made sure the throttle, because that's another setting, only works once you have it in a pedal assist.
Right.
So now that I'm here in this, if I lean this bike back, so the wheel's off, now it works.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive to me how much torque this, just even in that first assist level, well, with the throttle, just because of, you know, these tires have such a big rotational mass. I mean, it takes some torque. Do you know what the torque spec is on the motor at all?
The torque on this is, I believe it's 147 newtons
Oh, crap.
on there.
That's crazy.
Don't quote me on that. I'm not, I bought all this with my own money. I'm not a sponsor for e-cells or anything. I love their bike. And I love everything the way it was set up. I did a lot of research before I bought this to see what would fit my needs. I'm going to be the first one to tell you, does this have problems? I don't know. It's too new for me. Could it? Sure. Could the other ones, or the one that people like to argue about with this? Sure. I don't know. I don't own that particular bike. But as a mechanic, working almost a decade in the bike industry, I will tell you, even the top-notch, best $20,000+ bike you get, potentially going to have problems.
Yep.
You got to get what best for you. And full disclaimer, guys, just going to say it now for this video, and it's just for me. This isn't from Mr. Jim. I don't care in comments what anybody else says. If you like it, it's the perfect one for you.
100%.
That's what matters.
Yep. What are the colors they have options?
Blue, red, orange, and black.
Okay. So there's kind of a dead spot in the throttle. I'm turning the throttle, there it goes. Wow, okay. So first thing I'm going to show you on this E-Cells is riding without assist. Oh man, it does start to like, it's super amount of resistance there. But I'm just, his assist level 1 here. So hopefully you can see the screen there. I'm just in assist level 1, it's still pulling. I mean, and then throttle. Good Lord. Okay. Unlock the front fork. There we go. We got that full suspension, really floaty feel. Scotty was saying you get a pretty big jump going from assist level 1 to 2, so I'm going to try it, stay in the same cadence. Let's see what we get for speed here in this burst. Good Lord. Well, that's 30, and that's pretty, and you know, these big old rotors, they do a good job. I guess they're quad pistons, so it's pretty wild. But I mean, I'm just crawling along here. What feels like crawling, it's almost like some cars feel like you're going slower than you are. That's kind of how this feels. And as I go here, I'm going to punch this throttle. Wow, that has got a lot of kick. That is wild. This has good enough modulation on the throttle that I can just kind of crawl along, but then as soon as you want it, that's really impressive. And even though this bike is really heavy, it doesn't feel like it once you move. I don't want to dirty up your pretty bike. Do you mind if I just go in that grass down that little swale real quick?
Okay, but if you do and you fall, I'm gonna grab your camera and take a picture of you and laugh.
Okay.
At you.
Fair.
Because I'm Gen X and we don't care.
I'm just kind of curious how this does on just some little, because of the full suspension. That's pretty good. Just that little bit of torque pop. One of the things I'm most impressed about with having a 1500 watt motor, it's quieter than most of the 750 watt motors I've heard. I put in assist level 3, see what it does. So wow, this thing will easily get to 30 miles an hour. It's honestly to the point where I'm actually a little uncomfortable going that fast on a bike, especially a bike I don't know that well. But man, if you're looking for some real performance stuff, and Scotty has told me that he's had very good customer service support, even recognizing his name when he calls, I think this is a really great option. You know, if you're okay with the weight, man, it's solid. Well, thanks, Scotty. Thanks for going on the ride.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.